So in this lecture we are going to be talking about how to set up a proxy server for traffic monitoring. In a few countries there are a lot of restrictions according to the internet uses. Restricted website, banned web services or any kind of internal censorship. Most of the time people appeal for anonymity service to bypass that bar. One common element is that web proxy. A web or HTTP proxy is a server that acts as a middleman between the two communication, like client server. In a certain way, this proxy will mask your IP address by giving you an alternative internet identity. A proxy is used for more than privacy. This tool helps to bypass filters, logging and eavesdropping, caching, filtering, blocking, manipulate and modify the network traffic and many more. So I will emphasize network traffic in this lecture. So have you ever thought about that what can happen if you use a free proxy service? Your privacy can be guaranteed. So there is a lot of paid tools that can be trusted, but a lot of people do not pay for this service. The person or the group control of a proxy can see your traffic, especially if it is a free proxy. So actually how it works? So there is a lot of proxies out there. So I am going to shortly explain the types of proxies and how it works. So forward proxies. For this type, the client sends the request to proxy and fetches the response on behalf, where the client can or know about the proxy, but the server doesn't know about the proxy at all. The order will be something like this: client to proxy and then server. Reverse proxy. This is used to hide behind network architecture for distributing load traffic to the server. The communication are made to the proxy instead of the servers, and then the same proxy would handle the request. And it's something like this, the order. Transparent proxies. This kind of proxy does not modify any information without any client configuration. This is commonly used for ISP for faster responses. So great. How do you connect to a proxy? So there is a more browser setting setup instead of doing a like techie. So if you use browser, then just go to setting your advanced network and manual proxy setting, you can change it, where you are going to add IP address and port provided by the proxy service. So at this point we all set to start using a proxy, but there is some missing part in here. We need to install and configure a proxy server. So I am going to give you a quick explanation because later on I will get more details about it. So for this I recommend using a Linux based which is like Debian preferable OS. So we are going to use a proxy chain, and this tool I already previously shown in my previous lecture how you can use proxy chains on your Kali Linux machine or any Linux distributor which is pre-installed, which I previously shown. And this tool forces any TCP connection made by any application to follow through a proxy. To install, just type this apt-get install proxy chains and it will automatically install proxy chain. You don't need to do anything. And to configure, you need to configure this is the directory. So this is the configuration file. So in this directory you can configure this proxy chain, and we have to comment the strict underscore chain option. Basically this means that if one of the proxies for this list is down, the whole chain will be unusable. So after this you can uncomment this dynamic underscore chain option. Regardless if all the proxies are available, the chain will work. Dead proxies will be skipped. The proxy list will use the default the Tor network in case you won't put something on the proxy list in order to anonymize you. So how to use it? As a non-root user, you can just use proxy chain Firefox. So type this and leave the terminal open when typing the proxy chain. But how can you set up your own proxy server? So we are going to generate a cloud called Divine Machine, and you will be installing a proxy server called Squid3 for handling personal traffic to demonstrate how you can be monitored and easily know your destination and package detail using the Wireshark or T-Shark network analyzer. So generating SSH keys and blocking root access, which mean the minimum security control. So first, generate SSH keys for accessing the server doing this command. So this bold, as you can see, these bold are for the command purposes or for terminal purpose. So once you done, once this is done, once this key command line is done, you will be have a file name this on the directory of this for the username locked. So what you have to do now is you have to copy the generated key into a DigitalOcean instance by doing a char id _rsa.pub. So after that, accessing via the SSH is like this SSH root _ IP, where the IP will be the IP address instead of provider with the DigitalOcean. So the last one will be sent to the email with the root password. Adding other users for security purposes by add user David. So set the password using this command, password command, and changing the authentication method on the SSHD configuration file will let user to access the only SSH part only. So after that, what you have to do now is copy and generate the root authentication key ownership to the same user, that David. As you can see, this David will disable the root access to the server. So after that, what you have to do now is install and configure the proxy servers. So installing the Squid3 proxy server, what you have to do now is just type on your Linux machine this is the command, install Squid3. It will automatically do everything, you don't even need to do anything. So after that, you have to back up the config file, and this is the configuration file and this is the directory. So what you have to do now next is change the write to the backup, which is the this is the command line. So there is a exception, so everybody can read the file but you can read it. So inside this file, this configuration file, you can change the TCP port if you want. So by default there will be like TCP port will be like 3128. So before starting the server, we need a firewall hole. So you can check ports with the Nmap, as we all know what Nmap is. So Nmap tool, it is also pre-installed on Kali Linux machine, so just use it. So Nmap tool by doing a Nmap space under your IP address of that machine. So checking the Squid3 service by doing this command, this will start the service, and if it is necessary, then it will need to do all of this. So setting the Squid3 proxy server on the location of this directory and this configuration file like this. After that, type the command of HTTP your IP address and then the port, and the default port by is 3128, or the as you can see the default port provided by the port service. So if you scan with Nmap, the 3128 port on the Squid3 service won't be on the server. So next we are going to talk about the configuration file and sniffing, and then serve to the local machine. So